Greetings, everyone. Core here again. And once again, like I said, August is a busy month for me for midnight reviews. And this week, I went to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this has been a movie that has been getting a lot of heat for because Michael Bay's producing it, which people think that he's directing it. So, it's not going to be a Michael Bay film like Transformers think. But I do like the fact, like I said before in previous videos and stuff, that I do like Michael Bay. I think him producing is better than directing just because it allows his like motion capture, I would say, to be used, and that's what he's really good at. Is that CG, interacting with the live action, and it really shows in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Um, so first, of course, let's go number them, but no, number by number. So story's basic. I mean, it's an introduction movie again because it is a reboot. So they're gonna, of course, make more. Hopefully, as long as it does well. I really hope so because it lends itself to a lot. I mean, Turtles have done tons of things. I mean, they've gone to space. They've found other dimensions. They fought different things. So there's a lot to work with. But I mean, it looks like they're gonna be more based in Earth. They're going to base themselves more in reality, as much as reality as a giant, 6-foot turtle is evolved. But, yeah, so the story is really basic. It's an introduction story. It tells, how they became who they were. It gives each character kind of, as you introduce them and you show them during the whole story, it introduces their personalities pretty much. And that's kind of how the originals were, too. They didn't just tell you, Raph is headstrong and, easy to, he's first to get aggressive. Leonardo's the cool, calm, and collective leader. Donatello's the smart, geeky guy. And Donatello's the goofball. They don't say it right off the bat, but from their actions and the things that happen in the movie, you get that from it. Besides that, the story, of course, yeah, is, I mean, basic enough. I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, pretty much it evolves around the turtles and how they create it, and of course the mutagen, it's the ooze. They don't call it ooze, of course, but it's ooze. We all call it ooze. Anyone from the 90s calls it ooze. But yeah, it's just a good way to get the story and the ball rolling. It does have Shredder in it, which everyone thought it was like just a robot Shredder from all the pictures, but it's a person inside the Shredder suit. So that's kind of cool. It gives more validity to its fighting style, because a robot, of course, would be a more easier to read, I guess you could say, or if it's a human, they're more, adaptable. And the Shredder is pretty badass for sure in this movie. So all his scenes are pretty cool. I mean, his posture, he's just, he could beat anyone pretty much. That's how he moves, and that's how he walks, and that's how he acts. Who else? Of course, acting as so story's good. Story's passable, definitely. It's not something that's going to be too crazy or dramatic, but it's something that's, perfect for the Turtles. The acting is really good. It's not something, too dramatic, of course. It's a comic book movie, so it's not going to be something too crazy, like, at least not as the source material, it's not going to be Watchmen material. Uh, it's definitely more lighthearted, more, Avenger style. And, the acting does a very good job. Besides that, of course, the actors for Leo, Donnie, Mikey, and Raph, of course, I like them. The voices, I mean, Raph and Leonardo kind of sound somewhat similar. I mean, Raph has more rasp and more bass to his voice, but, I mean, Donatello has a very unique voice, very unique attitude, and it fits him. Michelangelo's voice and attitude fits him perfectly. Leo, is a little. He seems a little more headstrong, a little more aggressive than we like to believe. But of course, this is starting. This is the first time that they venture out, so I'm sure he'll get more calm, cool, and collective later. Raph, of course, is always the headstrong guy, and of course, it shows. Well, Splinter, I actually like Splinter. I wish his voice was a little more elderly, but it works though. It works. I'm not complaining too much about it. I mean, I like it. It's doable. It's passable, of course. Megan Fox does a good job. I mean, it's better, better acting job than Transformers, and it's good. I like it. Hank Arnaz, really good. Little scenes with Whoopi Goldberg is pretty good too. Um, what else? So yeah, so acting is good, definitely good. Uh, so the CG, like I mentioned before, is amazing. It really looks like they're there. The lighting, the detail that they put into them, it doesn't look fake. It actually looks more realistic than the '90s um, Ninja Turtle movies. At least the first two. The third one, of course, is horrible. We shall not speak of the third. But yeah, so it's definitely really amazing to see the production that they put into it. It's really cool. The fight scenes, of course, are amazing. Splinter gets a really badass fight scene, which Splinter's a badass in this movie, and I love it. I mean, of course, he's the one that's trained the turtles, and they changed the backstory a little bit. Pretty much, I mean, they don't really say Splinter is the one that gave Shredder the scar on his face, and also they don't mention that Splinter came from, Japan, where he learned the martial arts and stuff like that. They kind of, I'll say it. I mean, it's not much of a spoiler. They just say he doesn't remember much before the accident that you know caused them to evolve and mutate. So I guess there is a little leeway in there where they can bring it up later, because of course, they do mention Shredder being from Japan, um, and it's they actually have a his daughter in it. I forget her name, but she's in it. She's actually a decent part in there. She's in there here and there, so that's kind of cool to see what happens with that. The What else? Fight scenes are amazing. Splinter has a great fight scene. Pretty much, yeah. So the whole thing with Splinter is he finds a ninjutsu book, so he learns himself. He teaches himself, and then he teaches the turtles, and of course they just take off from there. So that's kind of how they learn the martial arts and stuff. And the reason why Splinter wanted to teach them is to teach them self defense in case anything happens, because they're not like everyone else, and you don't know how the human world's going to react when they see them. Besides that, the scenes are really beautiful. I gotta say, it's bright. There's a lot of vivid colors. There's also those gritty parts too as well. The sewers, the subway systems. It has its blend of both. It's really bright and beautiful, and it's also dark and gloomy. So that's pretty nice how they mixed it well. As far as the pacing was pretty brisk. I know that's what a lot of people are saying, especially critics and stuff, that it's in a rush to get to its final scenes. And it really isn't. I mean, everything seems to take place in like less than a week, I would say. A couple days, if that. And I guess that's why they felt like, yeah, it did kind of rush. But, you know, for the scenario and stuff, these guys weren't in any kind of, wait. They didn't want to wait. They wanted to rush. They wanted to get it out, done, the whole story. I don't want to speak about it too much because that is the main story. And like I said, I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, they just don't want to waste time. So that's why it does feel a little fast paced. It's definitely not slow. I mean, the scenes with April are probably the slowest scenes, and those are very short. So it's a pretty brisk pace for sure. It did not feel like 2 hours. I don't even think it. I mean, that's what they clocked it in at, but I think it's more like an hour 50. So it's definitely a brisk pace. So you're not going to get bored watching it. The audience I saw it with, there were a few kids in there. The kids seem to love it. Adults seem to love it. I mean, there was laughing humor here and there. Lots of jokes that seemed like a lot of people liked. Of course, I laughed as well. Um, it's really, I don't know why there's so much hate against it. It's just this Michael Bay thing. Like, people don't like his name. You tag him along to anything and people hate it, which is funny because before Transformers, people liked Michael Bay. And it wasn't until after Transformers that people started to hate Michael Bay. So that's weird. But yeah, so I loved it. I mean, for a Turtle fan that's seen all the movies, I loved all the action figures and stuff like that, I'll give it an 8, 9 out of 10, pretty much. So next week, Expendables 3, guys. Later.